Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome back to Star Sector. Today, time to do a bit of salvaging. My fleet, right now, I don't really feel has the right bit of firepower to take on bounty quests or to go hunting. So, instead, I have done some trading in the background and now it's time to start doing some salvaging. I have renamed my ships to patrons and YouTube members, and you can also get your name in this fleet by joining at the NCO rank, either at the YouTube membership or the Patreon membership, and you'll be directly helping my channel out with that. Now, the ships that I currently have are fighters, basically. We got two of these shuttles, corvettes, we have a raider frigate, we have one destroyer, although it's a support destroyer, it's really not designed to do that much damage all by itself, and a cargo ship. I want to start leaning into being a salvager, because previously I have put a point into salvaging, so now let's actually use some more of that. Time to get some more ships. I'm in orbit of 1, which is another one of the worlds from the Arraknis Reparations Society. So let's have a look at what these guys have for sale. On their normal market, their open market, they don't really have any interesting ships. I mean, it's a couple of freighters. This is where I picked up one of the freighters when I was doing a bit of trading. They got a light DD. What I'm interested in is this. The Salvage Rig. This thing is going to allow you to salvage more efficiently. It is relatively expensive to run, but having a couple of these in your fleet is going to make it just a bunch more efficient. The Salvage Gantry allows you to get a resource bonus from recovery of 25%. That is really valuable. They do have a slightly, let's say, less boost the more that you get of them. So don't get 50 of them and expect to be able to salvage 400%. This is going to go from 25 to 44. But hey, that's a good bonus. I want another one. So we're going to buy another one of these guys. The Salvage Rig. Time to rename these ships. Now, I think one of the patrons, or one of the YouTube members, is called Iron Rat, which I think, considering what this thing is going to do, is very apt. The other one is going to be the Catfish Hunter. Catfish Hunter. Here we go. Now, you can see that some of these guys have ordnance points left. This means that these ships can still mount weapons, although normally that would be the case. This one can't. It is just a salvage rig. So in order to actually use some of these points, I can add one of the hull mods. Now these hull mods, some of them are very useful when you're trying to fight. For example, a flux coil adjunct or a flux distributor allows you to get rid of the flux better or even have a higher flux capacity. In this particular ship, I don't expect to fight ever because it is not what it does. So what I can do is get additional crew to be put on this ship. Not that it needs a lot of crew, but let's say it just gets additional beds so I can bring more crew with me, which could be useful if I'm going to salvage more ships. I can also give it auxiliary fuel tanks to give it more fuel capability. It does also increase the maintenance supply use by 50%, so that is not that appealing, because I really do not want these things to get that expensive. What I think is going to be useful is surveying equipment. It means that surveying becomes cheaper. The combined equipment in your fleet reduces the survey cost by 0 supplies, and now it's going to be a little better. So I'm going to put that on one ship, and I'm also going to put it on the other ship. And now we should be getting... Yep, there we go. It's reduced the cost by 20 supplies and 20 heavy machinery. So that is nice. It's a nice side effect of having these ships, and having them also do something useful with these ordnance points. As for the rest, expanded magazines, like getting additional ammo for your weaponry, is not that useful if you don't have any weaponry. So I'm just going to put it on vents to get rid of this warning, and we might be able to revisit it at some point if I get better points, like better equipment. Now this ship has a civilian grade hull, much like the other ones, these guys as well. Civilian grade hull does increase your sensor profile by 100%. It's quite a lot. If you are looking over to the bottom left-hand side of my fleet, I have a sensor profile of 2500. It's because I have my burn on, so I'm trying to fly faster, and I have my transponder on for 1000 points. If you are not using a very big combat-capable fleet, it is generally better to have a smaller sensor profile. And some ships add more to this sensor profile than others. If I have a look at this ship, the sensor profile is... the sensor profile is 120. For this one, it is only 30. And for these rigs, it is 120. So they're relatively big. Now, I would love to be able to add the smaller subsection of that, which I believe is the militarized... No, which one was it? Because I would love to be able to reduce that sensor profile. Ah yes, militarized subsystems. Removes the penalty from civilian grade hull. So my civilian grade hull penalty of having a sensor profile increased by 100% gets removed. Unfortunately, for my salvagers, that is just slightly too expensive. Like, it will not fit on this ship. I'm now making the service cheaper by 30 points, but I might want to reduce the sensor profile even more. Right now it should be 2380. We can get that down to like maybe 1000 if I'm not burning very much. Let's get a bit more crew. I'm actually going to go over the amount of crew that I need. And let me first get a ship before I do that. Because I'm going to need to put some additional people on a ship. Otherwise, I'll not actually be able to house all of that crew. Open market. Yeah, I've just got freighters. Maybe on this ship I can now install some additional berthing. And with that be able... Oh no, that's another logistics mod. Great. The problem is, a ship can only have 2 logistics mods if you don't build them in. Some ships... sorry, no, let me go back on that. Ships have these hull mods. Now, you can have a bunch of them, but for example, with the logistics ones, which is what the militarized subsystem ones is, and the surveying equipment, you cannot have them have more than that, unless you build them in. But this is going to cost story points. If you go back to the character sheet, you can see that I currently only have 2. The story point is basically, well, it can be a lot of things. It can be an extremely difficult salvage operation that you manage to pull off. It can also be a get-out-of-jail-free card if you're getting engaged by a much bigger fleet that you really cannot fight, and you can use a set of, let's say, special maneuvers to try and get rid of that. But it's going to cost you story points. The story points are pretty valuable. And right now I do not want to spend any story points on getting my ships improved. I might be able to do that for like high-end combat ships, but for now that is not something that I want. So I guess we're gonna have to try and get up to... Like, this is a bit weird, right? I need to have 119 crew members, but I only have room for 101. So one of my ships probably has a massive deficit. But which one? One of them has increased maintenance, I know that for sure. Like, these have a maximum crew of 2. But they need 20 skeleton crew. There's the problem. The salvage rigs are not able to house any crew. Because they're basically just a big flying drill and seesaw. Well, sorry, not a seesaw. Like a buzzsaw, taking things apart. But it has no cargo, no fuel capacity, and it cannot house any crew. So I guess we're going to have to go shopping for some other ship. Because I do need to be able to bring more crew. I can go back to Mecholia or to Lost and the Line. I think we're going to check out the pirate base first. At the pirate base, sadly, I don't find any good passenger transports, if you will. But what I do find is a drone tender. These also have built-in civilian-grade hull, surveying equipment, and a salvage gantry. So they can make my salvaging even more efficient, and same for surveying, which is very nice. I'm going to also scoop this ship up. And now I can house 131 crew. My crew is still under strength, because I'm just shy of what I need to get. But maybe with this ship, I can get the additional berthings installed and be able to start housing a bit more crew. So let's get the additional berthings. They already got the surveying and the salvage gantry installed. So surveying equipment is now reducing by 35, which is very nice. And I'm salvaging a bonus of 49%. Very good. You can see that the salvage gantry on this ship is not as good. It helps, but it's only a little bit. So, now I should be able to house enough people. I can give it militarized subsystems to reduce that reduce the civilian crew problem, civilian grade hull, and yeah, that should be it. I can have weapons on this thing, but I generally don't tend to do that, because if this thing sees war, something has gone mostly wrong, so I don't want to do that. This is going to be the free key chain. That's a lot of E's. Free key chain. Again, if you want to get your name in the game as well, you can send me, you can join me through Patreon at NCO rank or the membership at YouTube through the join button at NCO rank. Now, I don't really know what else to put on this ship, because the rest of these are mostly combat equipment. I can give it an unstable injector, which is going to increase the top speed, which, if it does somehow end up in war, like in a conflict, it can get out. But I ideally never have it in conflict. Increase defense here. Okay, so now I can have 161 crew out of my 149 that I need. Because the military subsystems does increase the crew required. I still want one more part for this group, and that is a ship capable of transporting more people. So let me zip over there and see if I can find it there. Finally, at the Scy Nation station, I end up with a civilian transport. This thing can house 400 maximum crew. That should keep me going for a while. So let's buy this civilian transporter. And I'm also going to bring a tanker. It's a Balius. It is going to bring a lot of fuel, and with that be able to keep the expedition going for a while. Because we will not be coming home for quite a while. Now, let's get additional crew. I'm going to bring more crew than I actually need, because I do intend to pick up quite a few ships along the way. So let's get the fuel. I can transport a lot more fuel than what I currently have. Let's get some supplies. Let's say something to that effect. Let's have a look at these other two ships. This is that passenger transport. Now you can have even more beds on this ship if you really want to, but like it doesn't really matter, because I can already house quite a lot of people. I can house 400 if I install additional berthings. I can install an additional 120 beds. I think it might be worth it for this particular ship, because based on what I need, this thing is just, well, it's a sleeper ship. Like, you just plunk down a whole lot of crew on this ship. It's a transporter for crew. Surveying equipment, this means I can start reducing it to 45, but I can also put that on the tanker. So I'd rather have militarized subsystems, although that does increase minimum crew requirements. Minimum crew is currently 15, so that would go up to 30. But it would also mean that my burn size, or my sensor size, isn't that big. So I'll take that. What is this? Oh, it's the tanker. I can install additional beds here, but that doesn't really do that much. So we're going to install this. And I can install additional fuel tanks. And now it can carry 600, and with additional fuel tanks, it can carry 780. That's nice. What's its sensor profile? 60. Yeah, it's a bit big. If I give it militarized subsystems, which I can't, because... Oh, it doesn't have a civilian hull. Right, so that's why this doesn't work. Okay, fine, then you're getting fuel tanks. And some additional vents. It doesn't really matter on these ships. As for names, this is going to be the David Titus, our trusty fuel carrier. And over here, we're going to have the Emmanuel K as our civilian transport. So with these two ships, I think we're pretty much good to go. It is going to be quite the adventure. We're going to have to venture out pretty far. And I want to start salvaging basically whatever I can, because I think I can make quite a bit of money. Now, when you actually start salvaging, where do you go? It can be anywhere. If you want to, you can stay inside the core sectors. You don't have to go that far. All you need is two factions that really don't like each other. In my case, the Reparation Society is one that I'm friendly with, and I'm actually commissioned by them. The Ludic Church and the Persian League are their allies. They're enemies with the Cabal, the Hegemony, the Ludic Path, the Sixth Battle Group, and the Pirates. So what I'm now looking for is a sector, like actually this one, which has both. Because in this sector, in this, no pun intended, in this star system, the Reparations Society is going to actively hunt down pirates. And that could very well lead to some ships which might, well, not have an owner, shall we say. Ships that are ownerless. So in this case, I can hunt here for ships, but I think it's more interesting to start salvaging and start scrapping things over here. You can see that I have 2 fuel circles. This is potentially a bit of a problem. The inner fuel circle is, I can make it there and back. The outer fuel circle is, this is going to be a one-way trip. What happens when you are, for example, going here and you cannot have enough fuel to go back? Well, you're going to be stuck there. Up until such a point where you can actually salvage more things in that star system. Or until you find something that you can salvage, like maybe a fleet shows up. But you can also send out a distress call. And by doing that, you might be able to get some ships to come to you. The problem is, you never quite know who is listening. It could be friendlies. It could be enemies. I'm not sure. Let's see. We got Hegemony over there with the Imp and Kanta's Den. Now, Hegemony is very hostile to me, so I'm not very eager to go into a system where they have quite a lot of presence. The Carter's Freetraders right here aren't that likely. We can just explore hyperspace a bit, I guess. I can also use this one, the Active Sensor Burst. Turn off engines to reduce interference and link all sensors in the fleet into a single network. It's going to increase my sensor range by 3,000 units. And increase the range at which the fleet can be detected by 5,000 units. So, yeah, it is something that will allow you to scan a heck of a lot farther. But beware, because you're also going to get detected from a heck of a lot farther away. Huh, look at that, combat freighter. Now, I'm not that interested in actually getting this guy, because early on you tend to need story points. I can get my chief engineer's report and make a decision, and this is a difficult recovery for a combat freighter, which is going to require a story point. I do not want to do that. I value my story points way too much. So instead I'm going to salvage it and get some more fuel. This is also going to give me a little bit of experience, and because I just crossed the threshold from, let's say, this 3rd to the 4th block, I'm getting another story point. As I'm flying around trying to salvage, I have found a Heron class carrier. Let's have a look at this guy. Herons are very useful carriers because they're capable of keeping up with your fleet. They're quick. Most carriers tend not to be. So, I can get this guy. It only has some unreliable subsystems, which isn't really that bad. The problem, however, is I need a bit more crew than I currently have available, but that'll be fine. So, I now have a carrier. Isn't that nice? A carrier comes with some strike wings. This currently is equipped with a couple of interceptors, and it has a couple of bombers. Now, as you might imagine, the interceptors are there to fight other aircraft, so let's say other fighters, but they can also deal with enemy missiles. These ones, the Thunder Heavy Interceptors, also have their own Swarmer SRM launcher, so it's a short-range missile, which is able to start dealing with enemy fighters. So, a sort of, let's say, space-to-space missile as opposed to an air-to-air missile. They also come with these Dagger torpedo bombers, which are capable of throwing out a very sizable torpedo, which is definitely useful if you're trying to deal with bigger things. Now, this being a carrier, it is very much not used to being on the front line. It does have a hypervelocity driver, so it's capable of dealing with some shields, but beyond that, I would love to keep this thing out of danger. Right now, though, I don't exactly have enough crew to run it. So I might just have to mothball it for the time being, and that also means that I'll not actually be able or be required to take any parts to repair this thing. Because that automatically suspends the repair, having this thing mothballed. So, that's a very nice find. And it was just lingering here in orbit. No. It's really surprising what people lie or keep lying around. There's also some, what could be a debris field here. Oh, there's something else here. Hello. Another cruiser? Oh, but this one's a difficult one. Sometimes you're going to come across units that need more to repair. It could be a freighter, it could be something like a cruiser, it could be a battleship. It might need more than your regular repairs. It's considered a difficult repair. This one is one of those ships. It's a Sebastos class cruiser, standard cruiser. And having a cruiser in my fleet this early would be very valuable. But I'm not so sure I want to spend a story point on that. Because that's something that this ship is going to require. It's going to require a story point. So I'd rather not. And considering that my supplies are running a little low, especially fuel, I'm going to just break it up and take everything with me. Not great for an outcome, but hey, it's additional experience. And on top of that, it is a bit more material. Just a bit of an asteroid field here. No, there's nothing else out here. Now, remember to save this game often. F5 is your key to save, quick save. And ideally, if you want to, you can play this in Iron Man. But that's not for me, exactly. Not with the mods that I have. Sometimes something crashes. And sometimes I just save scum because I don't want to lose a ton of progress. Oh, what do we have here? A tanker. I already have a tanker in my fleet, but I might be able to take some fuel out of this one. Oh, and they know where a supply cache is, an equipment cache. Interesting. It's another difficult recovery. I really do not want to spend a story point on a tanker. It makes no sense. So I'm just going to take this thing apart and scrap it for bits. Now, it did know where an equipment cache is, which is over here in the Jotunheim system. I'll make a note of that, but I'm not really going to go after that right now. It's not a priority. I'm just here to scavenge. Sometimes when you're just trying to salvage some stuff, you're going to get hailed by various groups that might want something from you. In this case, the Cabal Fleet. What do these people want? I have excellent taste in ship. I think you can start on the Starlight path by graciously donating the Iron Rat RS. Yes, I can surrender a custom salvaging rig, or I can basically just fast talk them and hope that it doesn't work, or that they are going to let me go, or I can cut the comlink and fight. I'm going to fast talk them. I don't want to part with my story point, but I cannot fight them at the moment. The Hunter frigates, well, I might have been able to fight them, but these are very capable ships. And I basically have 4 warships, so yeah. Not a great engagement, but at least I make it out of here alive. I also get a little bit of experience from that, but I would definitely like a bunch more. In case you're wondering where my money is coming from, sometimes you're getting a stipend. Every month you get some income, and whatever faction you start out with, in this case the reparations. Oh, and I get a bonus from the Galatia Academy. I get 40k per month, but I'm also paying my crew. So in order to make do, I generally end up with about 35, 36k in income per month. So you don't have to trade everything. Ah, this is good. Sometimes you're going to find that there are warning beacons around systems. Are you sure you want to enter this system? Is basically what this warning beacon is going on about. With a low warning, I'm not too concerned. With a medium warning, I tend to become a little bit alerted. And with a high level of danger, it is generally a sector that I avoid. I do not want to go in there. Now, let's go into this inner jump point. Because while I don't have a lot of combat capability, there are generally quite a few debris fields, like this one. So I can start scavenging, and I can see what's out there. I can open a pod, and I gain a couple of marines. And what else can I salvage? Ah, fuel and supplies, excellent. Also some metals, which is not something I really need. You can sell these off, but they really don't have a high base value. So yeah, it's a bit of free money, basically, but beyond that, it's not that interesting. Alright, let's send out a ping. There is something here. An unidentified sensor contact. Let's have a look. What can we find out here in the black? If there's something moving generally this slowly, it's tend to be a ship or a supply cache. In this case, it's a supply cache. Slowly drifting, it's a supply of weapons or other equipment. And there is a strike corvette. Well, well, well. This thing has damaged weapon mounts, but otherwise it's okay. And it even comes with an antimatter blaster. It's a pretty nice weapon. So I'm going to consider this, and it is a standard recovery. I can make this very, very efficient, this recovery, because of all the scavenging operations. Bonus is 199%, thanks to all the various scavenging things that I have on me. So yeah, we're going to definitely take this ship. And there's a Gemini combat freighter in here. With more crew. Okay. Oh, it's another one of those difficult ones, so I'm just going to scavenge this. There's a dormant fleet there. There's something else out here. What's that? A heavy frigate. Oh, it's a difficult one. I'm not spending story points on that. But all of this is giving me experience. Which is nice. There's something else out here. Slightly to the northwest. If you want to call it that. Where is it? Yeah, it's out here. Here. What you got? An Enforcer Destroyer. Don't mind if I do. This thing looks pretty beaten up. Degraded shields, degraded life support. But it also comes equipped with a Sabo, 2 harpoons, and an autocannon. And it has built-in blast doors. Interesting decision. I'm going to get this guy. It's going to cost me some supplies, it's going to cost me a bit of crew, but that'll be fine. We also have another tanker over here that I really don't care about, so I'm just going to salvage it. And that gave me a lot of fuel because it was a tanker. Now that thing did give me the information about a debris field. All the way over there. No, that's too far away. I don't really care about that right now. What I can get is this sensor array here, which is going to give me a lot more visual on this sector. Now there are some remnants moving around, but generally for now they are avoiding contact, which is nice. Oh, and there's something else out there. Is there a bounty in this sector? Like, is there really? There is an unidentified fleet, which has like a combat freighter and some other things. With a 2-star difficulty, so I should be able to take that. Yeah, I think it's this one. The Independents have posted a bounty for bringing Whitney Cook, a notorious pirate, to justice. Yeah, it has to be her. So she has a combat freighter, a shielded combat freighter, and 2 shuttles. Oh, a shuttle and another combat freighter. These guys have a lot of malfunctions, as you can see by all those bars that are listed on top of the ship. It's going to give me 54k if I can get this done. So let's save. And let's fight. These 2 ships are definitely not available for combat. This one can be, but it's going to make the other crew under strength. So yeah, we're going to have to do it like this. Unfortunately, this is going to take a long time to repair the carrier. Yeah, it's going to give me 5 days until combat ready. If I want to bring that ship, that is. 4% combat readiness. The lower the combat readiness of the ship is, the more likely it is to start malfunctioning. So combat readiness is something that you generally want to take very seriously. If a ship has low combat capabilities, low combat readiness, just ignore it. Just don't do anything with it. Let it fix itself up, and then you can start to use it. What is all this? There's a minor equipment cache and a couple of fleets. Now, flying into the nova of a sun is generally not very good, and it's going to cost you a lot of supplies. But there is that equipment cache, and I would like to get it. I think it's gonna cost me too much. Okay, what do we have here? Is this the debris field we came into? Yeah, this is the debris field we came into. There's another fringe jump point out there on the edge. Yeah, I don't really care about that. We're at 19% combat capability. I want to get that carrier operational before we take on that bounty. Let's scan. Yeah, there's a couple of fleets around, but right now it's nothing too serious. Alright, let me get this carrier operational. As it happens, I think there's another bounty in this very sector. This is that other group. This one. That's another 52k up for grabs. I just have to destroy a destroyer, combat freighter, standard freighter, and a raider shuttle. They're all here. I'm just waiting for this carrier to get fixed up. How long do I have for this contract? 1 day. Okay. I guess we're not going to be perfect, but we're going to go in. Come here. Come here. There we go. Move to engage. Now, you can transfer command to another ship. I don't want to do that. I'm going to bring the ships as I have them. So we're going to deploy... sorry, we're not going to transfer command. I am going to deploy my support destroyer, my corvettes. I'm going to deploy my radar. None of the non-combat ships. But I do want to have my aircraft carrier on there, my fast standard carrier. Every ship has their own deployment cost. This one is costing me 10 points out of a total of 160. The carrier is costing me twice that at 20 points. So if you want to do something on the cheap, make sure that you don't bring ships that cost a ton of deployment cost. Now this carrier is not very much ready for a fight, but we'll just have to make do with whatever we can. Now as for the combat, there is quite a lot to go over. Bottom left hand side over here we have the weapons. I have a siege cannon, that is this gun. And this fires generally quite slowly. I also have a couple of missile launchers, which are thankfully not actually costing me ammo, because they're built in and they're automatically generating new missiles. I have a pellet gun, which is the highlighted weapon. I have a couple of, let's say, defensive weapons to the sides and the back of the ship. And I have a couple of CWIS, so close-in weapon systems dealing with enemy missiles. I'm going to give control over the main gun to the AI. Auto-targeting works really well in this game. And I'm going to maintain control of my missile launchers. Now, the fleet's over there. I want to have my carrier engage their biggest ship. That's going to be their strike target. I want this craft to escort me. This one's going to escort my frigate over here. And together, we're going to have a party. You're already going to go and engage that. That's fine. What else do you need to know? I have flux. Right now, this flux bar that you can see on the side here says 0. If I raise my shields, it still says 0. The moment that I fire my weapon, if ever... Oh, it's reloading. There. Now I'm getting a little bit of flux. So firing weapons costs you flux. Taking hits also costs you flux. The more flux that you build up, it's not necessarily bad. But if you overflux, so if that bar fills up entirely, your ship, its weapons, they'll shut down. The only thing you have is engines. And the only protection that you have is going to be your armor. So that is going to be pretty significant. Because the moment that you lose your shields, you tend to take a ton of damage to the hull of your ship. Best not to have that happen. We're already getting some good damage in here. You can see that this ship has about half its flux built up. The ship over here too. And this one has not only taken a bit of flux damage, but also some hull damage. Looks like we're going to have some problems with our own ship as well. Now the AI over here, this ship, another one of mine, it had a pretty high flux, so it fell back. And it's going to try and get rid of all that flux by lowering its shields. I am not too eager to get all the kills. I mean, sure enough, I want to get them killed off, but the integrity of my own ships is far more important to me. I'm going to keep my own ships alive. And I want to give that aircraft carrier of mine, that carrier, some opportunity. There, that's venting. I'm going to give that carrier of mine some opportunity to start dealing damage, which it's about to do. Now, what this ship over here is doing is venting. This guy here. They had quite a bit of flux buildup, and they're venting, which also shuts down your weapons, but it really quickly gets rid of that entire flux bar. And with that, you don't have to worry that much about your flux. But only do it when you are in a safe spot. Otherwise, you might find that the enemy is going to start blowing some sizable holes in your ship. I think we're going to have to deal with this ship. Siege cannon just missed. I'm going to keep the pressure on this ship. Oh, I'm overloading. There. I stayed around for too long, and now my ship's overloading. And because of that, I still have maneuvers, like I can move, but my ship is starting to take hull damage now. There, let's get rid of the rest of the flux by venting. There's my carrier doing another strike on this ship. Send the missiles out. And now it is overloading, which means not only its shields are gone, but also its ability to defend itself is completely gone. Its ability to defend itself against missiles is completely gone. Let's analyze the weak points to make this thing take even more damage. Siege cannon missed, I think. There's another strike from the fighters. There's another torpedo or two coming in. Boom! There goes your hull, dude. Add my missiles to his problems. Now, missiles are an entirely different category. They have all sorts of different stats. Some of them are designed specifically to take out enemy shields. Some are specifically designed to take out enemy hulls. Some of them are designed to distract the, let's say, the counter-missile systems for ships. So first you just send a whole burst of missiles their way, which is going to be designed to keep their point defense busy, their anti-missile systems, and then you actually send in the strike missiles. Some are designed specifically to be fired in a swarm to engage fighters. You have lots and lots of options. Now, I'm very happy that I started waiting for this fighter, because this my carrier, because my carrier is doing a lot of work. Analyze the weak spot. This ship has no propulsion. Everything on this thing is offline, which means I can pretty much take it out with fairly safe margins, although I am starting to flux out, as it's called. I'm overfluxing. So venting, meaning I will not do damage, but I'll also not have my ship shut down on me. Ship destroyed, one left. Once I'm safely away from another ship, I'm going to immediately drop my shields, because that way I'm also reducing the flux buildup. Good hit. Analyze the weak spots. That's the specific ability of this ship, analyze weak spots. There we go, job done. Enemy fleet defeated. Let's claim victory. Now, there was a ship that managed to make it out alive, but it's just one shuttle. I'm not going to pursue that, I'm going to let them go. Considering ship recovery, I can recover this support destroyer, but it's going to cost me some points. I do not want that. So we're going to pick through the wreckage. We're going to get some guns that they left behind, some supplies. And there we go, 52k received from that bounty. And I also gained a story point because I leveled up. The next point is going to go straight into field repairs, because with this I'll be able to repair faster outside of combat. Very nice to have. And also recovered ships start with 30 to 40% hull integrity and similar levels of readiness. So that is, let's say, a bit of scavenging and a bit of combat in Star Sector. I'm very eager to keep playing, and I will keep playing a bit off-screen to advance this, let's say, this storyline, and make sure that we're going to get a bit more money and potentially some more ships. Hope you guys are enjoying the ride. Let me know what your thoughts are down below, and if you want to get the game, you can do so by using the link down below in the description. It's going to take you to Fractal's website, which is the only website that offers the game, as far as I know, because it's not on Steam. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon for more.